Welcome to Unspoken Affairs, a place where true stories of love, betrayal, and hidden desires are revealed. Every story told here is a reflection of choices that changed lives forever. Tonight, I want to take you into one of those stories. A confession that starts with love, moves through lies, and ends in a way no one expected. When I first met Anna, I believed I had found the kind of love that people wait their whole lives for. She was vibrant, beautiful, and had a way of looking at me that made me feel like I was the only man in the world. The first few months of our relationship felt like something out of a movie. She laughed at my jokes, even the bad ones, and she would reach for my hand when we walked through crowded streets. Those little things made me believe that this was it. This was the love that would last a lifetime. But love, as I learned, is rarely that simple. It started small. The way cracks in a wall began as hairline lines you barely notice. Would dismiss my ideas about the future as unrealistic. Or she would tell me that I was being too sensitive whenever I admitted something bothered me. At first I told myself this was normal, that every couple has disagreements. But slowly I began to notice that our disagreements weren't about the issues themselves. They were about control, about who got the final say. And Anna always made sure it was her. The dishwasher incident is the moment that stays with me the most. It was an ordinary evening, nothing special. I had just finished dinner and was loading the dishwasher, carefully stacking the plates the way I had always done. Anna came into the kitchen, glanced at what I was doing, and suddenly snapped. "Do you have any idea how to do anything right?" she said, her voice sharp enough to cut through me. I stood there, a plate still in my hand, stunned. I asked her what she meant, and she launched into a tirade about how I couldn't even handle a simple task. How she had to fix everything I touched. Her words weren't just about dishes. They were about me, about my worth. That night, something inside me shifted. I didn't yell back. I didn't argue. I simply went quiet, and in that silence, I made a decision. If this was what my future, with her, looked like a future filled with constant belittling and manipulation, then I had to find a way out. I started to plan, not out loud, but in my mind. Quietly, carefully. I didn't want a dramatic explosion. I wanted peace, but Anna had her own plans. She noticed the distance, the way I had stopped reacting to her games. So she began to play new ones. She reached out to my sister, trying to turn her against me. She started slipping little comments into conversations with friends, painting herself as the victim, me as the cold, ungrateful partner. To the outside world, she wore the mask of the perfect woman, suffering through a difficult relationship. Behind closed doors, she was the one, pulling every string. I remember one evening in particular. My sister invited us for dinner. I went, hoping maybe we could just have a calm night, but Anna turned it into a performance. She laughed too loudly, touched my arm as if we were deeply in love, and then slipped in a comment about how difficult I had been lately. Everyone chuckled awkwardly, brushing it off as a joke. But I knew it wasn't. I knew she was planting seeds, making sure that when things fell apart, I would be the villain in everyone else's story. Still, I stayed quiet. My silence became my weapon. Then came the night everything cracked open. Anna had been trying to push me into an argument all evening. She wanted me to lose control, to shout, to prove her story true. Instead, I sat there calmly, answering her cutting remarks with nothing but quiet. That seemed to infuriate her more than anything else. Finally, she snapped. In front of friends and family, she declared that if I couldn't be the man she needed, she would find someone who could. The room went silent. All eyes turned to me, waiting for my reaction. But I didn't give her what she wanted. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I simply stood up, thanked everyone for dinner, and walked out. That was the moment I truly left her, even though physically I still lived in the same house for a while longer. Emotionally, I was already gone. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Anna tried everything: tears, threats, sudden bursts. of affection. She accused me of ruining her life, then moments later begged me not to leave. I could see the panic in her eyes, the realization that her control over me was slipping. She even sent long, desperate texts trying to rewrite the story, pretending that everything could go back to the way it was in the beginning. But I knew better. I had tasted freedom in my silence, and I wasn't about to give it up. The last time we really spoke, was on the rooftop of our building. She had asked me to meet her there, claiming she just wanted closure. When I arrived, she was already crying, mascara running down her face. She begged me to reconsider, to remember the love we once had. I listened not because I wanted to change my mind, but because I wanted to understand how someone could twist love into something so destructive. When she realized I wasn't coming back, her face hardened. She whispered, "You'll regret this." But the truth is, I never did. Walking away from Anna was the hardest decision I ever made, but it was also the best. I learned that love should never be about control or fear or manipulation. Real love lifts you up, makes you stronger, not smaller. Anna taught me that lesson in the most painful way possible. Today, share this story not to shame her, but to remind anyone listening that you deserve better. If you ever find yourself in a love that feels like it's breaking you down instead of building you up, know that you have the strength to walk away. Silence can be your greatest weapon. Peace can be your loudest answer. This was my story. Story of love, betrayal, and freedom. A story that reminds me every day that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave. And if you've ever lived through something like this, know that you're not alone.